Well, the sun just came over the mountain, so maybe some of this frost will start to disappear. We're definitely in a little bit of a chilly fall. We've had more sub-freezing mornings than not so far in the last 2 weeks. I will say that our fuel budget is going to go through the roof because so far every single morning I've had to warm everything up. I've got our diesel pickup warming up because we've got some people coming from the concrete company to make sure we can get some concrete trucks up to the top of the property. We had one of our pump guys educate us on a product called flow fill. It's basically water and sand at this plant. There's a lot of definitions for that, and they can pump it with the concrete pump. And as soon as I heard about that, I said that's what we need, is something we can pump in place that's 100% compaction, it can be shoveled, and it gets our trench filled up. So the only concern is it's pretty narrow up top. We want to make sure we can get a concrete truck in there, so they're going to come double check and make sure they feel confident about that. If that's good, we'll get that trench filled up here pretty quick, which is good because we have a string of pretty cold sub-freezing weather on the forecast. We got to get our pipes buried. Our cistern's fine. Our water hasn't had any issues. I mean, we've been down to 20 degrees or even 18 degrees and we don't have any issues with our water. So I think just being in the ground is a start. Technically, we could go for another 2 months without having to worry about the trench being filled, but the pipe's freezing, big problem. Anyway, so I was saying about warming everything up. I got the wood-mizer running, the backhoe running, the generator running. I had the Subaru running so we could jump the backhoe. I will say that the backhoe battery gave it a little bit of an effort this morning, but as predicted, that backhoe's cold-blooded. And I got the truck running. So I'm running 5 combustion engines right now, just getting things warmed up, and it's not even that cold yet. I definitely predicted this, and it happened to me this morning already. My blade lubricant is frozen. You can hear that or see it. So I got no blade lube. I think I'm gonna start adding alcohol, just a little bit of alcohol to my blade lube. Last night at dark, I was very angry, and I gave up. I feel like we keep trying to do, I don't know why, but we keep trying to mill at the end of the day when it's getting dark. I don't know why. Why can't I mill in the mornings? Why? It's so much daylight. So yesterday, we spent half the day cutting firewood, but it's better than this pile. So we've kind of come up with a method when I'm gonna get aggressive cutting these timbers. We're gonna slide the slabs off over here, but I'm gonna try to cut the slabs a little bit thinner. That way they're somewhat easier to move. And then we're gonna make a pretty good stack over here, and then we'll spend another half a day cutting firewood. Our goal was to be able to get the backhoe through here so we can just put it in the backhoe, take it down here to this kind of not very useful piece of the property and stack it nicely. That way it can dry for a few seasons. So that's where we are this morning. We did do some planing last night and that went really good. I just ordered more planer blades this morning. It's going good. She needs a few floor joists and stuff to kind of get a feel for the planer. And then we need to get some work lights. We've also got a lot of town errands that are stacking up. We need to get our generator in to see if they can do some diagnostics on it. It just does not put out the power they say it does. And then we actually got our tarp in for the underlayment. We need to get that installed before it rains. So today is gonna be jam-packed. But, and actually, one more thing. I talked to our logger yesterday and I was kind of telling him about how these logs are going, and I'm struggling to get some of the bigger timbers that we need because there's too much taper or there's too much stuff in the timber. And so there's a chance we can go up and look at the logs that he's got on deck for us at the property and kind of talk to him about them and make sure they'll work for us. I don't think there'll be any problem, but just a chance to kind of go see where the trees are coming from and kind of get a feel for what's coming our way. I told him we'd be ready for more logs on Monday. I still think that's possible, but it's going to be a push because of all the other peripheral work that creating these timbers makes happen. So I'm going to try to get this 8x15 cut down. Concrete guys are on their way. They'll probably be here in 20 minutes, and then have to change gears and go help them. Never mind, concrete guys just showed up, so guess I'm going to go deal with the trench first. Maybe my water line will thaw out on the sawmill. Maybe. Well, we got the green light on the concrete, so that's good. Not concrete, the flow fill. It just snowed. while I was meeting with the concrete guy, and it's snowing all around us. Looks like the freezing level dropped a couple thousand feet in the last 20 minutes. Sawmill water lines did not thaw yet, so I gotta do something with that. Then we got a phone call to take in a couple minutes, so this darn beam is gonna sit here, but maybe I can get a cut made really quick in the meantime. After all that brutal sun this summer, it's a little hard to be super positive about the sun, but this morning having some sun hit the logs and make steam and cut the frost and all that, I guess makes me a little bit appreciative for the sun's warmth. Something I don't think we've talked much about is a squaring cut. You can see here that this timber is pretty tight to this upright, but up here there's a pretty good gap, and that's because this bottom cut, which was the second cut I made on the log, is not square to the face on the other side. Those first two cuts are the most difficult to make square. I've learned that making squaring cuts is easier after you get the timber four-sided, because then you can really start to understand, you know, what's square and what's not. As long as you've still got a round side on it like this, it's pretty hard to figure out whether the timber is square and make really good cuts. Of course, we're using the framing square. Typically we throw the framing square under here and just make a quick square check, and you would see basically the same thing as you see on these supports. So what we'll do is we'll put wedges on the other side over here on these cross members and bring this timber over until it's square. But all that's gonna do is square this cut up here. This down here is still not square. So we'll have to rotate the cant over and make a final squaring cut on the bottom side here. And that should give us ultimately a nice square timber. So I faced my nemesis, the 8x15. What were you, just walking in clean air and got something in your eye?
Yes.
Why don't you wear safety glasses in the shower?
Flying.
Yep.
When I wear safety glasses, I get stuff in my eye.
True. Now, I don't know, I'm gonna actually ask the shelter about this, but there seems to be, this is not wind shake, but I'm a little concerned because of how deep this V goes right here, whether or not this is actually reliable for structure. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know if it's just pitch pockets or what, but 8x15 it is, and it's very, very close on length.
Feeling extremely stressed out today.
You are?
And all of a sudden, yeah.
Why?
I feel like workshop's coming and it's getting real, and I feel like we're not there yet.
Winter's coming, workshop's coming.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sky's falling.
We'll get it done, but I just feel sick to my stomach.
I think it's tragic that,
I can't enjoy anything.
I think that's the tragedy, that for us, house building has become, unfortunately, not as fun or pleasurable as maybe the masses might think. Instead, it's become a tremendous amount of work, long days, hard work. But you know what? I think we're equipped for it, and I don't know that we would want this to be easy. You know why?
Because then everyone would do it.
Because everybody would do it if it was easy. There's a reason that the majority of people do not own a debt-free home, and they don't build their house. It's because it's not easy. Like pretty much anything in this world that's worth doing.
This is what filming a home build looks like, y'all. You gotta stop what you're doing to go get the camera. So it actually adds a little bit of time.
So here's the beast, and I'm actually kind of worried about that area right there. I asked Shelter about this, and this is what I was worried about right here. This exact thing. So look at that. So that nail actually goes right in through there. So that's a void in the tree. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm gonna keep talking to Gaius over at Shelter and see if we can figure it out. But I think that's a tie beam, and I don't really want to use that with that kind of thing going on. Well, I'll find out and we'll check back. Also, just heard from our logger, and we're actually gonna head up and meet him right now. So we're gonna take a look at the trees that he's got in deck for us. I'm really struggling to get these 8x15s, and he said he's got some really good logs coming our way that have a lot less taper and a lot less stuff. And so I think I'm just fussing way too much over trying to get these monsters. The advice from Blueberry over at Shelter was to try to get the beams and the posts first, and then worry about the joists and rafters second, which is what I'm doing. That's exactly what we're doing. So I'm gonna send this photo over to Gaius and have him take a look at it, and then we'll actually be off, grab a cup of coffee, and go check out the logs that are coming our way.
Hey, we're on camera. It's funny.
How much taper it's got in it, because I got one 8x15 today, and I'm not even kidding. It's by the skin of my teeth, and it's got a boo-boo in it. I mean, if it's a dead straight log and I can get 8 inches, I'm only gonna get about an 8x12 out of that, maybe.
That's one of my things. Yes.
Like almost 18 inches, but that's just the butt.
Get that flare on.
It's got, you know, it looks like it about.
This is just
Okay.
A lot bigger up close, isn't it?
Wow.
You know, and
Is that a sequoia?
This is the
Yeah.
one you were talking about, right? The monster, like the big
one of the monsters, yeah,
Oh my
there's a
goodness.
couple up in there.
Unfortunately, by the time I get all done with this, I'll probably be a lot better to talk
Well,
to. I'll tell you a lot more about it. So we had a super successful visit with our logger, and we're feeling a lot better about the log deck that we have right now, being a little bit less picky about what we get out of each log. So we're gonna work really hard through Sunday, see where we're at, get in touch with him, and hopefully maybe somewhere early next week we'll get another load of logs in, and hopefully that deck will include the logs that we need to get some of the big timbers, assuming we don't get some of them already. The bad news is this guy is going back on the mill, so for the first time we're gonna have to re-saw something. We're gonna have to get rid of the other end of this and turn this into a post and a floor joist instead of the tie beam that we originally wanted. The good news about this timber is that a lot of our stuff is 8x, and so I knew that if I could get an 8x14, at least I could get an 8x8 post, a 6x8 floor joist, and then I'd have an inch of waste, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. Should take just a few minutes here and we'll have this ready to put back in the pile. Well, the Canon battery died and we're not going on out of daylight again. We're gonna wrap up. We've got to make a supply run nearby and do that before everybody closes. I'm probably 3/4 of my way into this 8x10. This is gonna become a top plate, an absolutely stunning piece of wood. Beautiful. Probably finish that in the morning. Make sure I have enough time to do it right. I think it's an absolute tragedy. This tree had a massive bend right here. So the butt is basically useless. I don't think I could even have got another 6 inches of usable wood out of it. And then the other side, just stunning wood, but tree has too many bends. I don't know. I think this is kind of the downside of such manufactured products as timber frames, is we cut. I'm gonna empty the gas cans really quick, get the truck fired up, go check on Alyssa, see how she's doing, and then we'll get the heck out of here. Holy cannolis.
So this one here, I kind of tested on being more careful, like measuring all the time.
Yeah.
And you can see there's low spots. But if I plane them out, it'll be lower, smaller than
Too
the
thin?
dimensions. So I think it's fine.
We can touch sand all those
I
areas.
touch sand and it looks like crap.
Really?
Yeah.
How? How bad?
know.
Oh yeah, it's not gonna look planed. There you go.
It seems it does not like to be planed backwards. So pick a direction and stay with it.
Probably, yeah,
Otherwise
makes
it
sense.
like roughs it all up.
Ah, okay.
So learn that.
Yeah.
I think to get it like perfectly planed, you have to go over by like a 1/4 inch, which we don't have.
I'm doing that
So-
now, but a lot of this stuff we don't have it now.
So if our worst problem is that we're sitting on our couch watching the snow fall and there's a little bit of an unplaned spot, I think it's fine. I learned that when I have these on, this is vibrating like crazy. It'll scare the crap out of you if this touches here.
Yay!
It's like,
Oh, fun. Well, it sounds like Alyssa's making some progress with planing. We gotta get some work lights so we can work after dark. Planing is gonna probably be an after hours activity. Milling takes precedence, and then, well, we'll have to see how things go. But we've got to be ready. So need more hours in the day, and there's just not enough light right now.